Black Panther, volume number 9, issue number 7, legacy number 219. I really enjoyed this issue, guys, because it's so reminiscent of Batman, but with Black Panther style. It's not copying Batman exactly, but it's just so cool just to see a lot of the elements of the Dark Knight, if you will, but in T'Chaka style. I love this cover. You guys take a look at this. It's very symbolic. That figure you see right in the middle is T'Challa, the Black Panther, former king of Wakanda. To the left, you see his alter persona during the day, Ize, I-Z-E, and he works as a dishwasher at a restaurant in the town of Burnin, T'Chaka. That's right, no longer Burnin Zana, the golden city and capital of Wakanda, where he used to reside and rule as the king and Black Panther. And that is because, per the last volume of Black Panther, we saw our hero stripped of his kingship, stripped of his moniker as Black Panther, and even one point his suit, which he was able to reclaim with the help of his sister and some former allies. And one of the things that was his punishment due to the secrets and different things coming through the cracks was that the prime minister exiled him from Wakanda. But T'Challa is of the royal bloodline of the Black Panthers. It is in his blood to protect Wakanda. He is Wakanda. He can't leave. You can try to exile him, kick him out, whatever. He's going to figure out a way to maintain and protect the borders of Wakanda until the day that he is no longer on this earth. And at least he still does have an ally in his sister Shuri, who does remain in the capital, and he's able to communicate with her whenever they need to and gather intel and whatnot. But this issue was really great. There was a lot of detective elements to it, similarly to Batman. And basically, T'Challa, with the help of a friend in Burnin T'Chaka, got kind of a new burst of life, if you will, into his dealings and navigations in this town, because he's supposed to be learning about it, but he's really not learning about it. He's kind of approaching things as he always did. Well, this is a new town, and Black Panther has to adapt and adjust. Now, what's currently going on is that there are crime families in Burnin T'Chaka, which is nothing new to the city. However, what is new are a string of disappearances, and this is causing commotion and turmoil and tension and fear amongst the general population. So this is where Black Panther is chosen to place his attention, and specifically one head of the crime family. He's about to encounter this person, and basically when he gets to the compound, this individual is basically praying or summoning or conjuring up some Wakandan god, I believe, and this entity basically ends up possessing him and somehow, I guess, like takes his life, I believe, in the process. And so Black Panther now is kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time, as guards are beginning to swarm and show up, and then they see their boss, him lying lifeless on the floor, and Black Panther basically standing there a few feet away from him. So they put two and two together and can only assume that he's the cause. But this is very, very good. Another exciting element, guys, for those of you who watched my last video on Timeless. Timeless, if you haven't picked it up, go pick it up, because it's going to shape Marvel Comics for the year 2024, and I hope they continue releasing these one shots every year, because now it's going to help you to look for certain Easter eggs throughout certain comics. And in this issue, we are going to get one of our first Easter eggs, I guess, if you want to call it that. That was referenced in one of those flashbacks that Luke Cage had in Timeless. Very, very specific one that I didn't mention now that I realize it, but I will point it out in this video when I see it so that you'll know. So let's dive in without further ado. This is Black Panther Volume 9, Issue number 7, Legacy 219. Let's go. And basically, we see T'Challa, the Black Panther, perched up above there, and the individual he wanted to talk to and interrogate is Baba Nkisu, that gentleman you see in the middle upper panel there. He is chanting some name that I'm not going to repeat, and T'Challa makes a note that there's no signs of any abnormal frontal lobe activity. Now, this is the head of the Nkisu crime family, and T'Challa is basically going to talk to him to see what's his connection with these series of disappearances in Burnin T'Chaka. And so he's trying to resuscitate him, give him the old slap on the cheek, grab him by the face, stay with me, stay with me. And as you can see, the lights are on, but Baba Nkisu ain't home. So, and then we see this kind of like a hiss, like this smoke bomb, if you will, this kind of smoke and mirror, this theatrical effect here, and it even startles T'Challa, the Black Panther, and he's like, "What?" And I don't know if he happened to dodge this bullet or if just the gun man, or we're gonna find out the gun woman, was a bad shot, but this bullet just wings right past Black Panther's face. And the gun woman is none other than Baba Nkisu's younger daughter. And basically, she is running to the aid of her father to his side. Black Panther pulls out a gadget that can seemingly, I guess, attempt to resuscitate him and bring him back to life to some kind of stable state. And you see his daughter there, and she is just. Basically, just distraught, and she's saying, "You know what? Baba, it's me. It's your dollar. It's your daughter, what's going on?" And he still is just chanting, reciting this name, but it's much, much slower. All because beep, 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 beep. And that there, T'Challa's device is registering that Baba Nkisu's heart is flatlined and he's no longer with us now. To his daughter's just shock and utter dismay, and she's just distraught and just frantic, as of course any daughter or son would when their parent just passes right in front of them. And of course, the nearest person is Black Panther. Again, wrong place, wrong time. And she blames him for this now, even though we know that he had nothing to do with his death. And T'Challa tells her to stop it and not to do this. And then two guardsmen shows up. And of course, she orders them to basically take Black Panther out. And as you see, these two guards are reluctant to do so because they say, "Miss, what do we do? It's the Black Panther." It's like they know who this guy is and what he's capable of, man. So yeah, they have handguns, but against the legendary Black Panther, I don't know how well that's going to do, and we're about to find out. And before the guards can even get their finger wrapped around the trigger, T'Challa just actively leaps backwards in this nice cinematic, dramatic backflip. This that would make like Jeff Hardy jealous, just flipping back, and he bids you farewell as he backflips over the ledge onto the floor. Now the guards, I guess, followed him down, and they say, "Stop or we'll shoot." And Black Panther just calmly responds, "It would be easier if you did not." And of course, they do not comply with his suggestion and they open fire on T'Challa, to which he then responds with a couple of Bruce Lee like split kicks that you see only in a movie. And he just pow kicks them both right in the face simultaneously and disarming them at the same time in Black Panther fashion. And they continue to open fire on Black Panther. Now, one of the things about his new costume is he has this really cool, I'm assuming it's vibranium shield that is hoisted and kind of mantled to his left shoulder and goes down to about the middle of his forearm. And he uses that, thankfully, to block the bullets and the projectiles. And you see the aftermath there once they're done firing. It's like, tss, and then he looks at him and he's like, "Wholly unnecessary." And he just lunges like the panther, like his namesake, like his moniker, and just lunges at the first guy. And just you see that right fist there, like in Mike Tyson fashion, just crunch. He must have broke this guy's jaw and knocked him out. And then this feat right here, delivering some type of martial arts karate side, this mid kick right into the solar plexus of this guy, and it's so forceful it pushes him back right into his ally or his boy. Now that is some power, and Black Panther quickly dismantles and neutralizes these two guards. And mind you, he did at first try to take the alternative path, the path of least resistance, nonviolence, but you know what? They persisted, they fucked around, and they found out. And now we see Black Panther resting after a hard night's work, and he is looking over the funeral of the recently deceased Baba Nkisu. And in Burning T'Chaka, as with most African cultures, there you see the funeral is a very it's a grand spectacle there. Everyone coming out dressed to the occasion. There's a giant portrait of him, all of his supporters, his family, his friends, his followers. It's their mourning and kind of celebrating at the same time. And even now they don't know, the cause of his passing or the cause of his death. Although his daughter, we saw, does believe that it was none other than the Black Panther. And T'Challa is just basically reflecting in this time and saying just how, you know, awesome this site looks, even though it's a funeral. Almost like if you were to onlook, you couldn't tell. It's almost like a parade, if you will. And he mentions that, yeah, they're you would have thought that a king had died. That's exactly how they're treating him. And I think that that was a very that was kind of referencing to T'Challa being the king or the former king of Wakanda, because he does in fact know what it's like to be treated like a king, because he was that for Wakanda for a very long time. And now T'Challa is meditating in his headquarters, his private chambers, if you will. He's got some portraits of, I'm assuming, family members closest to him. There you see the shield I was referring to, his armor, and he's meditating and just reflecting on the recent events. There you see the iconic Black Panther mask right next to him. And he mentions that he should. This is cause for celebration, right? One of the largest, crime lords of Burnin T'Chaka has been taken down. So, from a vigilante perspective, kind of scratch one there on the tally, but he doesn't feel very celebratory. And the reason being is because basically a rival gang, now noticing that Baba Nkisu is passed, now they want to go ahead and make their run, basically to take him out and maybe find the weakness in his territory now that he's gone and everyone's distracted with his mourning and the passing. And Black Panther, he mentions and uses a great analogy and says basically if you remove a dagger with haste, that the blood just freely flows, and that's what it is. So he's now going to go and check on this rival gang and make sure that they don't get too out of hand. Now we see here two gangsters pouring gasoline all over the floor, what appears to be some kind of hideout or facility, but we know that it is one of the territories of the deceased Baba Nkisu, or the Nkisu crime family. And these two gangsters are from one of the rival crime families, and they're wanting to send a message that basically now that their patriarch has fallen, and the rest of their territory is soon to come. And Black Panther feels like he hasn't done much since he's arrived in Burden T'Chaka, to, as he made the analogy of the dagger, pulling that out of something very quickly and the blood just speedily flowing. He hasn't done much to suture or heal the wound in Burden T'Chaka. But doing this little act, this deed here, he does feel like he is in fact suturing that wound, and it makes him feel useful to kind of prevent something like this from happening and basically getting bigger than it needs to get. Now, this is a very pivotal part in the story in this issue, because Black Panther visits his friend there in Yobi. And in Yobi, I don't know exactly what his occupation is, but basically he and T'Challa have dialogue. Now, T'Challa is self reflecting. He's doubting himself a little bit because the main target he was going after is now dead. So essentially, he has no leads as to, these disappearances, crimes, the connections. And he also goes into deeper self reflection about the disconnect between the royal capital of Wakanda, right? Burnin Zana and Burnin T'Chaka, and he even mentions his father and his grandfather, the Black Panthers before him, and asking, were we so disconnected from this, this city that we don't even know how it really operates? And Yobi, he begins to pull one of the philosophical books off of the shelf from an author or a poet, and he recites it to T'Challa. And of course, T'Challa has genius level intellect, and he attended the best schools in the world, so he is very well versed with this particular author or this theoretical book here. And basically, in Yobi, he says something very profound to T'Challa about in order for one to know themselves, basically giving him a process of what he has to do. But his main point was that he's been in Burning T'Chaka for weeks, and then he asked T'Challa what's his favorite bookstore, what's his favorite place to get coffee, where's his favorite restaurant to grab something to eat. And T'Challa at first is kind of dumbfounded, like, what does this have to do with anything? And Yobi goes again to reiterate, like, you don't know the city, you don't know Burnin T'Chaka. And in order for you to be successful in what it is that you're trying to do here, you have to know the city and you have to know it like a local, and it's going to give you more intel and a greater advantage. So Nyobi gives T'Challa an itinerary, basically tasks, if you will. This is really cool because it's kind of like playing Grand Theft Auto, and Burning T'Chaka would be like a big open world, and you're Black Panther, and you've got primary missions, and then you've got secondary missions. So basically, in Nyobi would be like one of the places or venues that you can visit, and then you go up to him and you click the action button and you guys have dialogue, and now he gave you this list of things to do, and it's basically just normal everyday things to do in Burn into Chaka, like sightseeing. There he's in some kind of canyon, you know, hiking, going to a cafe, to a bookstore, going to a nightclub, and he's doing this regularly now, as a weekly thing to gather more information. Here we even see him in the park, where, men are playing, not chess, but some type of cultural game there in the park. And they just so happen to be having dialogue about one of the leads that he had that went cold with Baba Nkisu, and specifically referring to his daughter and now her crime operations moving forward, specifically that she basically cleaned house. If you remember back to the beginning of our story, the guards were very reluctant to shoot Black Panther after Baba and Kisu's daughter had ordered them to, and basically saying, "Well, what do we pay you for? Right? You guys just take him out." And so she basically has personally eliminated the guards that she had, the old guard, as they refer them to, not only from her payroll, but from this earth. And so basically, Black Panther, as you see to T'Challa there as his alter ego, Ize, and now he's beginning to see the fruits of his labor in doing all of this groundwork, basically, and we're going to see here how it pays off for him in a big way. T'Challa, as his alter ego Ize, walks into one of the bars that he's been frequenting on a weekly basis now, and he just so happens to notice two of the guardsmen who are pretty high-ranking officials in one of the rival crime families, and actually Baba and Kisu's crime families. They rank fairly highly, and Black Panther, or T'Challa, he notices this, gets himself a drink to blend in with the crowd there, the patrons, and he waits for his opportunity to go up and strike a conversation. Now, to give you guys a little bit of backstory, about maybe 2 or 3 issues ago, the restaurant that Black Panther, or Ize, is a dishwasher for, they catered to one of the weddings of the Nbisu family. They had a big, grand wedding, and so Ize, of course, went there to offer the services on the restaurant's behalf. Now, these two particular guardsmen, this one here does have authority, I'm guessing, over staffing, recognizes and remembers Ize. And he, as you see, he says, "Oh, you're the guy with the Bruce Lee moves," because there was an altercation that broke out at the wedding, of course, and Ize, the caterer, just so happened to be able to protect himself and those that were around him with his Bruce Lee moves, because it is none other than the legendary Black Panther. And so basically, T'Challa wastes no time saying, getting to formalities and small talk, but then saying, "Hey, I'm strapped for cash, looking for gigs. If you guys have any work to do, let me know." And like I mentioned before, with Baba Nkisu's daughter cleaning house, air quotes, this general now says, "You know what? We actually could use some help around our operations." This gives T'Challa the opportunity he was looking for to get closer. And the opportunity comes just a few days after that meeting, and his first opportunity is to be a doorman or bouncer at one of the nightclubs that the Nkisu family owns. And we see Ize there. He's at the door and he's greeting all the patrons that are coming in. I'm assuming checking IDs. I don't know what the age requirement is to get into a nightclub in Berlin Tachaka, but whatever it is, he's checking. And of course, just like here in the States, pretty girls have pretty girl privilege and they want to cut to the line. I don't think they have IDs, so they just basically kind of say something to him that they said to the previous doorman, which is probably why he got replaced, and that guy let them in. Well, not Ize or T'Challa, Black Panther. Now, this was very good that he denied these girls and just did his job because the daughter of Baba Nkise, Miss Nkisu, was noticing. She was right there in close proximity. And she basically says, "Good job, thank you." And she also relieves him for the moment because she, I guess, would like Ize to drive her to one of her base of operations and have a little conversation with him. And she's also surprised that he notices or that he knows of her, to which T'Challa intelligently replies, it's foolish not to know the name of your employer. And so she gets another bouncer to take his spot to relieve him, to basically kind of give him a break. And she asks him to basically chauffeur her to her next destination. Now, while they're driving, they have a very interesting conversation. Miss Nkisu asks Ize, or T'Challa, if he's offended by violence, and to which, of course, he quickly responds, no, he's not, because he's the ass kicking Black Panther. And she basically tells him how violence has just ripped apart Burnham T'Chaka, and of course, he accordingly responds that, well, sometimes violence is necessary. And she says, well, yes, my father has lived a very violent life, had a lot of enemies, and basically he paid the consequences, died a violent death at the hands of a disgraced king, referring to Black Panther. Miss Nkisu also mentions that her sister-in-law, so it was her brother who got married, that Ize had delivered food to the bridal suite at. Her sister-in-law knows powerful people in Wakanda's parliament because now it is a parliamentary democracy, and she wants to gather enough evidence on the Black Panther to bring him to justice for the death of her father. And finally, she asks Ize that if is it funny that she's speaking of you know violence and this man as a criminal, given the fact that she now is going to run. She's a part of a a family that does crime. She's a part of a gang crime family. And he says, yes, ma'am, admittedly, to be frank, it is. And she says, yeah, that's okay, but basically still kind of putting the emphasis on the Black Panther and what he did. And then that wrapped it up for their ride because they had arrived at her destination. Now they are inside some kind of warehouse here, and I just can't get over how much Ize looks like Jay Z from that side panel right there with the face and the lips. But basically, Miss Nkisu talks about how much of a hoarder her father was, and he kept a lot of things because Ize he asks her that he must have a lot of documents. Now, if you'll notice the kind of tech panel there, the tech drawings there, that's from the eye there of Ize in Black Panther's tech. He's basically kind of, I guess, seeing through the documents and the boxes and the walls to see if he can gather any kind of important intel or if there's anything worth coming back to this place for to gather. And Miss Nkisu, she overestimates basically the visit, and she tells Ize that she's going to be there all night, and basically he can scram. He's done for the night. His services are no longer needed, and basically he's free to go. And he thanks her and bids her good day. And this is where the story gets good, the final part of this issue, if you will. Now, this young woman's name is Beisa, and she is the Catwoman to Black Panther's Batman. She has a white outfit that is reminiscent of a like white panther, white tiger, and she is also a highly skilled thief, just like Miss Selena Kyle. Now, she strategically is meeting this individual, this man here, with some documents in his hand, as you see, and she timed it perfectly, and she just made it seem like she just coincidentally ran into him on accident, knocking and shuffling his documents in his hand. And as she goes to pick them up, I mentioned she's a master thief, and somehow she takes a few of the documents that she needs, I guess, from him without him even. Oh no, she had documents herself, so she had copy documents and gave him the fake ones, and she took the real ones, as you see here, her placing them in her purse. And so basically now she returns to her home, and this is where it is, people. So look at what the name says there on the document, and it's circled, and she even says, what the, like, how did he know? So I don't know if that individual knew she was going to run into him, but whatever the case, the name that's circled is St. Croix, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I know it's not St. Croix, but If you remember from the Timeless issue, I told you guys that Timeless was going to set the tone for the Marvel comic universe in 2024. And there was a specific panel that we see here where Black Panther is facing off against Monet St. Croix, who is a mutant X-Men from um, Generation X. Monet, she also goes by Penance, and he's facing off against her. I didn't know the significance behind that, but here, very excited to find out this first Easter egg, if you will, that it could refer to that panel, this panel here from Timeless. So her father, Monet St. Croix's father, is apparently was involved with Baba Nkisu somehow. So this is now going to take Black Panther and Beisa into their next plan of action. And here again, reminiscent of Batman and Catwoman on top of a rooftop, we see Black Panther and Besa. Look at that outfit that she has on. It's really cool, very Catwoman-like, but White Panther, White Tiger, if you will, or White Cat. And instead of a whip, she has like a long kind of tail extension from the back of her mask or her helmet, if you see, but it's very reminiscent of a whip-like weapon, except she doesn't hold it. And basically, they're talking about now the information that they've just found, this revelation that Cartier St. Croix, which I believe is Monet St. Croix's father, was somehow, it seems to be connected to Baba Nkisu and his crime dealings. Now, they don't have any solid concrete evidence yet, but they do know that Monet's father has not been seen in a very long time, and Black Panther pulls up a screen there with his cool text, a kind of GPS map of the region, and he was able to triangulate and locate the holiday home of the St. Croix, and basically saying that no one's really been there in a long time, so that's going to be a good place for them to start their investigation to see what they can find. And the very next day, we see their plan coming to fruition, and there you see the Villa de St. Croix, or whatever the fuck it's called. And they're right outside now. I believe it was Black Panther or Besa had some informants basically scout the area and tell her that there's no one home, there's no guards that are patrolling the perimeter. It basically seems kind of abandoned. I mean, it is a holiday home, so that's exactly what they want. They want to go in undetected, look for whatever it is they need to, and get the fuck out of there. So here you see in Besa, she's kind of cleaning, dusting off a piano, kind of going through things, and as well as Black Panther. Now he finds something there you see with his flashlight in one of these drawers here in this chest. Now they are communicating, I believe, via some kind of walkie-talkie intercom, but then Black Panther hears something and there's a voice, and the voice you see there in the bubble says, "Excuse me." And it is, holy shit, none other than Monet St. Croix, global sophisticate, physiologically advanced mutant, telepath, genius. And she's basically like, "You mind telling me what the hell you're doing in my house?" Her house? Wait a second. I thought this was a pretty much abandoned St. Croix holiday house, right? For the holidays. No, it apparently Monet St. Croix has been living here, I guess. Now I don't know the timeline, the chronology of this, because I know that right now the X-Men are going through a huge story, a huge crossover event, the Fall of X, and we saw Monet in the Uncanny Avengers limited series, where she teamed up alongside Captain America, Rogue, Deadpool, Psylocke, and Quicksilver, whom she appeared to develop some kind of like romantic connection with him. And so I don't know if this is after the events of Uncanny Avengers or in the middle or before, but Monet is standing right here in the home. Now, this here, common sense is going to tell me that obviously she can handle herself. She's formidable. I don't know if she's aware of who the Black Panther is. I'm going to assume that she does, as most mutants do, because T'Challa and Storm, Aurora Monroe, at one point were married. So pretty much the X-Men and Wakanda were kind of married also in that sense. So maybe Monet does know about him. I don't know. She doesn't call him by name, She just says, "Excuse me," but we're gonna find out in the next issue anyway. And she's definitely not gonna back down because, like her description said, she's physiologically advanced. I don't know her power set exactly, but I do believe she has some level of superhuman strength. And when she transforms into Penance, her fingernails get really long, kind of like Lady Deathstrike, except without the adamantium. And as you see here, the solicitation cover for the next issue, Monet there. Now, this isn't going to probably be like an actual panel from the comic, but similarly to watching like a video game trailer, some of the scenes there might not be actual game footage. This here might not be actual a panel in the comic, but it does symbolize and speak to what we will see, which is a showdown or a fight between T'Challa and Monet. And you see her there hoisting him, and he's bracing himself on that shield, and she appears to be lifting him diagonally into a wall. You see the debris there, the bricks from the impact. So we can assume that due to her genetic mutation, she probably is on par or more physically strong than T'Challa. Or we don't know that yet, but she definitely is not afraid to face him. So we'll see what happens if there's any dialogue. Is it a misunderstanding? Is Monet kind of anti-hero? Is she kind of playing good with the X-Men? And then on the other hand, she's kind of helping her father with these kind of criminal dealings? We don't know, but thank you guys for watching and listening this far. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Are you a fan of Monet? Do you know who she is? Who do you think would win in a fight between these two? So basically, this has been Trademark Comics, and until next time, you guys, I am out.